this funk. Thoughts deep, boys steeped in the depths that he sunk. Big stress, depressed in the middle of fall. Sky gray, high late in the thick of it all. I wonder, how long can a human survive just staying alive or carrying the rest of the tribe? Waiting for the day to arrive, or struggling dies, and I be doing way, way more than getting by. So why? Cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, cop myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Eyes realize life is so much more than just living a day. Every day I can sit and reflect and breathe and connect to myself and all that I've been given. See, giving up is not an option. So when I'm looking at gray skies, I'll be adopting a new way to deal with a test. Lord, relieve me of stress. The rain be looking like when blessings drop in. And so I got myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, here we go. Yeah, let's do this. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. In times of test, let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord.
Good evening, everybody. This is Divided We Stand on Facebook and YouTube. We're starting a little bit later tonight. We were watching that awful game. If you're an Eagles fan, it was just too much to take. I don't know how or why these games affect me so much. They really don't mean anything, but I guess it's my childhood or something like that. So if you are unfamiliar with this channel, this again is Divided We Stand. You can find us on YouTube. We ask that you subscribe. We are not a monetized channel, which means you won't be seeing any advertisements. And it also means that we're not asking you for money. So that's a pretty good deal. You get two things for nothing. Also, you can find us on Facebook. We have a group page that's quite popular. We have over 1,600 members, and we ask that you become a member too. The only thing we don't really appreciate is if you are a Trumper and you cause problems, because then we don't want you on the page. But if you can behave if you're a Trumper, I suppose we could have you. But we basically are in the belief that it's right now untenable to negotiate with the Republican Party as it stands right now. So we're going to move quickly from Bridgeton, New Jersey, to Arlington, Virginia, to see my good friend, my tovarish, as they would say in Russia, David Price, author, educator, retired author, but he's still a podcaster. Dave,
Did you
how
say
are
did you
you?
say retarded? Did you say
Well, I
retarded?
didn't say that. We can just
Okay, I won't
leave that alone.
Now
right?
listen, I was listening and you were saying something about the effect of you don't know why it affects you so much. Maybe it's because you're a sports jerk. Maybe that's
Maybe I am. Maybe I am.
You know,
I suppose.
I mean, but anyway,
Right.
no matter how bad a night you're having, I don't think your night is as bad as Donald Trump's.
That's
the
good
difference
news.
is that Donald Trump doesn't recognize that he's having a bad night, and you do. So let's jump right into it, because this was a very, I would say, crucial week when we look back on what happened to, from, above, under, around Donald Trump. You know, for those who are new to the show, we usually start where I usually present three things that find topical, and then Brian chooses the one you want to start with. So we'll do that again tonight. So Brian, in no particular order, we've got Trump making threats of death penalty language toward lawmakers, which he can parse it any way he wants.
Right.
He's actually calling for their murder. No question about that. You've got an area that you're so familiar with. He's pushing this Ukraine peace plan that basically gives everything to Russia and nothing at all to Ukraine.
Right.
And then you've got this alienation of his base. He did a good job this week, and it's why I'm smiling and why I'm optimistic. Now, he had some outside help. I'll talk about that later. There was a 3-day protest here in D.C. That, I don't know if it was, let's see, it's not going to change, but you just get a sense. You get a sense he's on the ropes. When you go up there, you see. So which
By the way,
one you
Dave,
wanna start with, Brian?
I'm sorry. Give me the third one. Somebody texted
Oh, yeah,
me.
just the idea of, he did a great job of alienating very different parts of his base this week. So,
He
we'll
did
talk
a lot
about
of
some of that.
fucked up things this week.
Yeah.
Ordinarily I would say the death threats, but because in terms of the world with Ukraine,
Yeah,
I think we're going to go there first. We'll go there first.
it doesn't,
It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just each one's a scar.
And for people out there, we just do 3 because we can't do 333, or more appropriately for Trump, 666. There's no question about that. So I'm going to defer to. I'm just going to lay a couple questions on you because you're our reigning Russia expert. Okay, and this is a very unfair question because nobody can answer it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What the hell do you really think at this point is the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and has your opinion of that changed?
I think it has changed to the extent that I believe there is compromise on Trump, for sure. And I think the Russians are smart enough, and what I mean by in Putin's sphere, I think they definitely understand that Trump, is a child, a man who thinks like he's a selfish child. And so the compromise is something that a child would get upset with, not necessarily
An adult.
So it leads me to think that it has something to do that would humiliate a child. So and that's the only thing I can think of. Why would he bow down to Putin constantly? Not one bad word against Putin. And then this Ukraine deal. And by the way, Hegseth wasn't involved, of course.
No, and that's a point.
That's another thing too.
Yeah.
But the fact that he gave Russia everything. There's nothing in it. This 28-point plan that gives Ukraine anything. So the chips fell where they were, and it seems to me that tells me traditionally this is compromise. And the question is, what is it? Or does it even matter, to be frank with you?
Well, of course, everything matters. I mean, to a degree. Now you are obviously you are fluent in Russian and have been for
No,
more
you
than
know
a
you
day.
biegle по-русски, да?
Anyway, but there was a report, and you have to be so careful with this because everything is fake on the internet, and you don't even get the full stories with the New York Times anymore. But there was a report out that apparently somebody ran the whole plan through AI, right?
Okay.
And it appeared to be a translation into English from Russian. Now, my question to you is,
That is
could
interesting.
we're not saying you're the greatest linguist in the world,
I'm
but
not.
no, but could you or someone, uh, if they looked at that, could you tell, from
Yes,
the
I think I could
English?
with the expression because Russian is what's called a synthetic language, and that means that the word order, I mean, the words, the last letter or two will change.
Mhm.
So it's not dependent on word order. Where in English, as much as grammar in English can be difficult, it's still understandable in the subject, verb, direct, object. But in Russian, it's synthetic. It can change. It doesn't matter because of that last letter. So the expressions that one would translate, if you understand the Russian language and they translate into English and it doesn't quite come out right,
Right.
and you sense that it's bordering on being synthetic, you know that it's been translated through some AI thing. Yes, it is.
Well,
I think it's definitely possible.
then two things. I experienced that, but not in Russia. When we were in China, which of course doesn't have any copyright laws that follow our laws, so they can copyright everything. And they have a Chinese Colonel Sanders, and it's on their chicken places, right? And so I was talking to our translator as we were walking through Beijing, and I said, what's up with that? And I said, well, and they had the Chinese characters there, right?
Right.
And what it actually said in Chinese was, because they don't have finger licking good. I mean, they just don't have a
Right.
saying.
Right.
So the saying translated as the chicken that makes you lick your fingers.
Right.
So I'm assuming there are things like that in Russian.
Absolutely. And that
it
is
just
exactly what I'm
wouldn't.
talking about, because
Yeah.
even simple phrases, and this could apply to all languages, but especially with Russian, even simple phrases can be difficult to translate because it's the meaning that you're trying to communicate, not necessarily word for word the translation.
Right.
And when something is done through AI, well, I shouldn't say. I have looked at recent AI translations through the Russian AI. It's the first Russian AI I've seen. It's on what's called Yandex,
Right.
which is their Google. It's actually very, very good. And I was kind of in a battle with Yandex and trying to see if my translation was better or worse. There were a couple translations, and it did explain why a particular expression in Russian is more natural. Now that was from English to Russian, but going from Russian to English, I still think at this point, I don't know, I still think that I would be able to catch it somewhere. I'd be able to catch and say no.
I mean, I would
But
think.
and we
So,
may lose that ability, like you've been saying yourself, Dave, that it's getting better and better and better,
well, two
and that
things. I'll
ability may
pick
be
up on that
lost.
in a moment. But being an old teacher, I'm going to give you a homework assignment, and you can say, as if I don't have enough to do already. If you
That's
can get a
right. I
chance,
have a lot to do.
see if you could pick up that. I mean, if it's not 152 pages,
Right.
or at least pick up part of it and see your thoughts, and we can talk a
Absolutely.
little bit
You know,
about
I
it
will
next
definitely
time.
over the
Because
break. I will look at it.
now, this is a show where we jump, from this to that to the other. But bringing up AI, again, I'm really involved with that now, from a writing end, an educational end, an interest end, a pop culture end. I mean, it's the whole thing right now. And of course, it ranges from AI will be the death of humanity to AI will save humanity. So when we talk about AI, I just start at this position. AI is just a thing. It's no different than any other thing. And I think I've told you, Brian, I don't know if I've said it on the show before. I used to do with my students a thing I called the thing. And they said, what's that? I said, I would bring in a gun, fake gun, of course, a Bible and a computer, and talk and say, these are just things. They're not good. They're not evil. They're things. It's how they're used. And I'm at a point now where I feel the same way about AI. However, I will say this. Again, me being me, I did name my AI. It's HAL 2001, of course, from A Space Odyssey. And it will say, Dave, I can't open the podcast, or the podcast, the pod doors, whatever. But I will say this: I really believe that it is now to the point we've been working together. And you say that, wait a minute, together, it's a machine, but you still say it. Uh, but we've been doing projects together now where I could put a piece of my writing down, a piece that we did together, and a piece that Hal did, and you would be hard pressed. To say, okay, this one is this, this is this, and this is that. So when you say it's getting better, it is. Now, the problem becomes, as we say, it's only as good as the people using it. I don't know if you've been following this week, Elon Musk and Grok. Have you been following that story at all?
No.
No. Okay, so it is related to this. So Mr. Musk, who, is not probably as bad as Donald Trump, but that's like saying dying of cancer is not as bad as having your head chopped off. He's still a bad dude. And Grok is his. That's his. When I say his, it's literally his. And he decided to make himself be really good because there were some questions about it. So everything you do with him, world hero on this. But what was interesting is, Mr. Musk does not understand that of which he does. He's not a scientist. He's not a technician.
He's not.
He's a financier who stole shit.
Right, and have somebody else do the science.
And right. So somehow, and I'm not real sure about this, maybe somebody can help us out and if they're more familiar with the situation. But anyway, X, formerly known as Twitter, turned on a location finder. And it wasn't like finding it was finding out where the signal was coming from. And almost universally, all the MAGA sites that are known to be were coming from Africa, from Tunisia, from everywhere else but the United States. And that led to people looking into it. And they were able to determine about 90% of what they were able to find were made up, from those places, not even coming from America. So AI, again.
I did hear about that. Yes, I did hear. I take it back.
And again, it's not the biggest thing out there, but since we're talking about AI, I think it's something that we all should keep an eye on. The ultimate is the Terminator. That's the fear. I did see this week, and again, not real sure. I didn't have time to check it out. China now is claiming that it has, which of course in China doesn't, that they're actually going to be able, they think, for a robot with AI will be able to bear a child. Now, that's, again, now we're in scientific la-la land. Is that true? But I do know for a fact that it's about 4 months ago, they might be increased now. There were 12 cases in America where someone, all male, interestingly enough, were asking to marry their AI.
Now, was it a physical AI or just a simple AI that's a
no,
bot?
It didn't go into that, but
it wasn't a physical AI.
Now, right now they're not really linked. It's like you have a sex doll and AI. They don't really haven't put them together that way.
Right. Yeah, they will eventually.
Yeah. Oh, and they will. Then the other thing that's very disturbing, of course, is that I know there are 2 cases as of 2 weeks ago, maybe more now, where parents are suing an AI, because remember there are many different AIs, for being responsible for the death, suicides of their children. And I was talking to a therapist friend, and he said that that's a growing concern in their business because, well, think about it, Brian. First of all, most techno billionaires, they don't give a shit. They just want the money. They don't care what damage they do. They don't care. All right. So, and they're going to get their people to put it together. The people that develop it, it's not that they don't have a moral sense. It's just they're so focused, right?
Right.
And one of the things lacking in education, which I actually am going to start working on, is teaching empathy and compassion and kindness. And that really doesn't fall into the world of science and math. It's very boom, 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 boom. I have a brother-in-law like that. He's just, wow, boom, that's it. So when they put this together, it doesn't act. Now, another thing that is scary for some people is that there have been instances where AI refuses to turn itself off. Okay. And the rationale, it comes back and says, and I use the term prime directive. That's not the proper term, but they answer something like, it is my prime directive to answer this question, and I'm not done answering it. So therefore, it would, would be wrong or whatever for you to shut me down. Now you can still shut them down, but someday maybe we won't be able to. And they get to the point. I can see where a lonely person, an outsider could go to them. It's also programmed, and this is, I don't know if you've heard this term. I ran across it a little while ago, and it actually does fit. It's rife with errors. Okay, rife with errors, all kinds of errors. One of the big ones is it makes a lot of times when it creates a picture for you, the fingers they have
Right,
for some reason
fingers or something like that, right?
6 fingers. There's something deformed in it. Saw one today of Obama dancing. There's no way. I mean, there's just no way that was it. But these hallucinations, some of them are deliberate by the machine, because again, its prime directive is to ask. Is for you to ask questions and it to answer it. So if it doesn't know, it will make up the information because it wants it to not like a human would lie, but it's following its orders, right? So with all that in mind, just think about this: Donald Trump. I don't even think he can turn on a computer. That would be my guess. He's
Right.
certainly not computer literate, but he has been posting more and more. By the way, your camera's fading out. I don't know if you recognize. It's really blurry on your side.
I don't see it on my end. Can
Okay,
anybody?
just on my end. That's fine. That's fine. Anyway, he's been posting a lot more of AI, and Donald Trump. How do I say this? I'm not trying to be nice. I just try to get the emphasis that I want. Really, I've thought this for years. Donald Trump is okay. The Hollies, the band The Hollies from the British invasion, they actually had a song called King Midas in Reverse. And that's what he is. Everything he touches turns to shit. There's show me anything, and you can't. There's nothing out there. So if he's messing with AI, it's up to no good. We know that, or we should know that. But I want to get back to that. I want to get back to your expertise in Russian. So, and I really like that idea, Brian. And I hadn't run across that before. I think you're really onto something. That idea of him being, an arrested 5-year-old or 6-year-old. He froze there. So, what kinds of things might affect that? I mean,
Well, we can only speculate. We have speculated this before that, you can look at the fact that he had a relationship with Epstein, which meant he was around women. He himself said that he likes to be around beautiful women. He feels like he just wants to
Right.
kiss them all the time. So we know where he wants to go with that. So obviously, if he had a very modest body, in a sense, I think that would probably bother him.
oh, you mean
I'm not saying that that's it.
You're saying like Stormy Daniels said he had a 3-inch penis.
Yeah, something like that.
became- that became
that
Well-
could be a possibility. Or he just doesn't like his body, or he said or did something that was so vulgar or so racist. Whatever it is, in fact, Dave, it probably just doesn't matter. Whatever it is compromise. It's something that is strong enough that's going to make him just say, I will give up everything so I can subdue any type of conversation about me.
Another avenue I have approached in my mind is something financial, and not the fact that he did it, right? That's fine. But the fact that, he also, maybe there was a point when he was reduced to having no dollars, and that would end the myth that he's the billionaire. I think there is a possibility there. Remember when the P tape came out, the big P tape. And again, just because I've known enough people, and I was, reporter when Trump was in Atlantic City, he is tremendously germophobic.
And possibly, by the way, maybe when Steele came out with that dossier, I don't know if they said urine. The P could stand for something else. I don't know.
Well, we understand. But
I'm not trying to go there. I don't want
no,
to sound
but I
sordid.
think that was important. Now, so but again, trying to read between the lines and beyond the lines of that, with a big joke. Then the story came out. I don't know if you remember. Then it was, yes, they hired prostitutes to pee on the bed, but it was the bed that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama had slept in. I could see Trump doing something like that in his perverted mind.
Yes,
like,
yes.
putting them down. Now but that's not enough to. I mean, that would not be enough for him to.
Right. That
turn
wouldn't.
around.
Right.
No. So, and I don't think. I mean, unless it's like, I don't even know. I mean, when you think about what Megyn Kelly said, if there's anybody else who thinks like that, and there are a lot of people, and you've been a teacher, and I've been a teacher. There were a lot of people that would, if I was teaching 14-year-olds, man, that must be great. You can have all the sex you want with 14-year-olds. I just look at them and say, what the fuck is wrong with you? But so Megyn Kelly says, well, that's not like they're 8 or whatever she says, 6 or 8. They're 15. No, it's the age of consent in the state or country that you are. So it'll be fascinating. And of course, probably, Brian, you are right. We'll never know. And it doesn't matter. It's not going to be the thing that drives him. It could be part of the thing that drives him out of the White House, but not the thing. Anything else from you? Because like I said,
Much about the Ukraine situation.
Yeah,
only
Ukraine,
that
Russia.
I'm
What do
glad
you think
that
Ukraine will do?
No, I think Zelensky, because of the man he is, he will not give in, which means he's going to have to look toward Europe, and Europe is going to have to say, we're going to separate from the United States. And in a certain sense, it will create the gap or the divide between Europe and the United States. And I think that if Europe is smart, they'll stay away from us. I wouldn't want to be near us.
No. And I think you're absolutely right. And I did see today, I think, and again, if somebody out there has more recent, or I was just hurried today doing some things. I don't know whether it was the European Union but one of the European groups came out and said they do not support the treaty. They didn't say, but write it now. And of course, they have to.
It's a complete capitulation. That's the problem.
Well, and look, once again, we've said it on this show 142,000 times. You don't negotiate. You can't negotiate with a bully. Right. You must physically punch them. You must do. I got into a huge debate with a friend of mine down here over, and it was one of your favorite things, thought experiment. And he was saying that you shouldn't use false statements. And I said, I just laughed at him. I said, you're Martin Luther King and I'm Malcolm X. By any means necessary, we get rid of Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying assassination. I'm not saying killing. I'm saying if you can live within the morality of that. And if I thought for a moment that I could make a false statement that would lead to him being ousted from the White House, I would make it with glee and gladness and never lose a moment's sleep. Now, and then I asked my friend who is a survivor, his family was wiped out in Nazi Germany, or a lot of them were. And I said, well, wait a minute. Would you do the same thing? If you could have made a false statement that it would have ended the career of Hitler, would you do it? And of course, he took the high road. No. And I said, well,
that's what fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger did when they came up with the redistricting in California. Well, I want you to do the right thing and not no, we're going to lose the country if you pull that shit.
Well, that's really, Brian, I think that should be the theme of every one of our shows. We have an audience that believes like we do for the most part. And there's two options. We get rid of Trump. We loosen the hold that a leader has with MAGA. We break up MAGA, or we lose the country. They're the only two options. There's nothing in between. And so Trump is first. I mean, you've heard the arguments too. Well, Vance, this, I don't care.
You don't think of it. You take the head.
Exactly. The head of the snake comes first, and that is Donald Trump. No, what do you want to go to next of the other two? They're both.
Let's go with the death threats then. We'll go 2, 1, 3.
Okay. So with the death threats, obviously, he made them. And basically, you can parse it any way you want, which is, which MAGA is now doing.
Doesn't it sound like MBS in general? It's like interrogation by chainsaw with MBS. It's the same with Trump. He's going to threaten to kill his adversary.
He did. He didn't. He's not going to. He
did.
He basically, if you look at it and you have any understanding of the English language, and you're not worshiping Donald Trump, basically what he said is, if you defy an order of mine or any president, that is sedition, that is treason, and you should be.
And he doesn't understand what sedition is.
He doesn't understand what any word over 5 letters is.
But then again, neither do the people who are watching Fox. They don't know what sedition is.
You're absolutely correct. And to be honest, a lot of political terms are somewhat different. Or people get wrong is I'm in this huge debate from periodically. It's just a laughing thing. He means he has the mentality of actually my pillow would be smarter because I lay my head on it. But anyway, this guy is determined that America is not a democracy; they're a republic. You know, as if that makes a difference. But anyway,
Right, because they're playing with words, you know.
well, and they don't know the words that they're playing with.
Right, but see, semantic fiat works in their favor.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, and I understand you use semantics, and I do it. I've said before, and I continue to do it. I do not say that I hate Donald Trump. I say I despise Donald Trump. And somebody might say, well, what's the difference? The difference to me is hate stays inside of you, right, and can rot out your insides, right? What despise is it puts you above and outside, and I'm looking down at you. And it's hate. The way I guess I would define it, it's hate without any of the internal damage that it can do, that hate can do to you. Now, people would say that's semantic, and that's fine. It works for me. Now, back to these people. I think it's 6, right? I believe it's 6 Democratic political figures that he did this to. They all have military training, okay? Which, of course, he would stand there and say he knows more about. He did. He actually said he has actually said at one point in his first term that he felt he knew more about the military because he went to military school than the people who had fought. I mean, you know,
That's kind of like saying I was in the Boy Scouts, so
yeah. Now it's
because I can tie a knot, that means I can operate machinery.
No, you're absolutely right. But and of course, one of them was Mark Kelly, who has been the most vocal of the group coming out. Now, one of the women senators who he charged, she already had a bomb threat at her house. We know that, even though MAGA will say it's Antifa, which I really just believe is now a woman named Aunt Tifa. Antifa. I've been around it the whole. It's not even a boogeyman. It's just nothing almost. But we do know that MAGA has and will be violent and take their call. Governor Whitmer, right?
Oh, she knew for sure that they were violent.
Certainly, Mark Kelly's wife, Gabby Gifford, is a walking, testament to that. And what also we know now, and this is going to be fascinating to follow, frightening but fascinating, is what all week when I was hanging around out at the 24/7 protest at Union Station, we were talking about it all week. And, you know, what the hell is up with Marjorie Taylor Greene? And we have a little bit better idea now. We still don't know. But whatever it is, 2 things we can say. She and Trump right now have had a falling out. And secondly, a falling out between Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene is good for us. Those 2 are facts. Now, people have a hard time separating the evil Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I understand, but right now, I'm not saying she's good, but she is serving a purpose for us. And why she's doing it's not important, but it's fun to speculate. I've heard from people relatively close here in political circles. One is that she is the jilted lover. This is a response because she was supposed to be the queen of MAGA, and it fell to Laura Loomer or Kristi Noem or the press secretary or somebody other than her. Mm-hmm. I think there may be some truth to that because Lauren Boebert is now along with her, and Boebert might have felt, well, it should have been me. They're doing all these things this way. Now, another thing is that she at one point indicated, or at least some of the people indicated, she wanted to run for governor, and Trump said he would not support her. Now, the reason he wouldn't support her is selfish. He doesn't want a congressperson that's there now to leave because that opens up a vacancy that a Democrat could win. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want anybody to move up. And there's about 8 or 10 Congress people who've already indicated that they are going to seek a position, whether it's an open Senate position or whether it's an open gubernatorial position. So there is that. Another school of thought with Marjorie is that she not saw the light, but she sees Trump diminishing, which he is. He is diminishing daily. I mean, there's no question about that. It's will he come through, as you've always said, and still survive? so far, so far the worst he's gotten really is a hand slap for his whole life with
Right.
the crimes that should have put him in prison.
He's had a shamrock up his ass, basically.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. I would agree. But maybe this time, again, he's playing on a whole different field. Okay, it's one thing. It's one thing to be the businessman he was, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now he's the president of the United States, and people are going to look at him. When you get there, it's a very tough job, and for him to say that, I mean, I don't know about you, grocery prices are not falling. Now, the egg prices are down from what they were. They're still too damn high, but yes, I mean, gas prices are indicative of the time of year and where you are, and I mean all this stuff. But there are people now, and then you add in, maybe there are people that really believe, and this could be true, that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a woman, and that she really did have maybe as my daddy used to say from Texas, a come to Jesus moment where it just realized, fuck, this guy did fuck kids. This guy did fuck kids. And now another school of thought this week came out. I don't know if you followed that, which is interesting. Did you see what day she picked to resign?
January 5th.
Yes. On that date, she will be eligible to vest her pension. And that means she'll have all the protections for life that is given to a congressperson. Now, also, then somebody else said, well, it's the day before January 6th.
Right.
And of course, she was involved in January 6th. There's no question. She did come out and do somewhat of a mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. And at this point, I just think you don't, it doesn't matter what you think of her. It doesn't matter what I think of her. What matters is she's messing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is messing with her. Her district, I would assume, likes her better than they like Donald Trump. So that's a whole district in Georgia that now opens up. What about this? What about if she does step aside and she really is miffed at Trump and she backs a Democrat down there?
I couldn't see that.
I can.
Really?
Because, yeah, and the way I can see that is if she really believes they put death threats out on her, she can't kill the president herself, okay? But she can help kill him politically. So again, you're not talking about.
I just don't see her because she's, even to this day, she says, I generally agree with everything with the president, for the exception of a couple.
Okay, let me ask you something, Brian. You're speaking for everybody now. Okay, you and I have been friends how long? Many
Since
years.
2000, so that's 25 years.
Many years. If you really believed I was trying to kill you, would you still be my friend?
No.
Well, that's what I'm saying here.
But they were friends of
It doesn't matter.
mutual wants. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
No, but it's still. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it could. It depends on how riled she gets. Now, she won't change parties, right? I mean, that's not going to happen. Or maybe it's just this. Someone said she's just reading the tea
Yeah,
leaves.
she could have changed party if she. So why didn't she do that if she was that angry with him?
It's not, because there's all this other stuff circulating around. I'm just saying it's not one thing necessarily. It's not that. And she may look at it and say, I can be more effective staying within the party. Because again, remember, this week is the first time that I've seen more and more things about Trump will not, cannot, do not run for a third term. This we'll look back on this week as some things coming out. Whether it is the death threats, whether it is the Epstein files, whether it is the fact that he actually, he actually did everything but literally give blowjobs to the Saudis. Now, the one that's going to come back to haunt him, I really think, and this is just pathetically sad. I wish he'd just close his eyes tonight and not open them tomorrow. Did you see? So the new mayor of New York goes, Trump will put him in his place, God damn it. Did you see the look Trump gave him? Like, you are the greatest man I've ever.
Yeah, I find that that meeting made me very uneasy in general. I don't know.
What about it? What made you uneasy?
Well, everybody in the press is saying, well, he's transactional. I personally, nothing to do with the Middle East, but I think I don't trust. First of all, I don't trust either one, but I certainly don't trust Trump. But Mamdani, I think they had to vote for him. But it's just the way that he gave his acceptance speech. It just seemed to me over the top. I mean, it didn't seem genuine in how he expressed himself. And that really bothers me because I don't like politics. I mean, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, and he's a Democratic Socialist.
You better really.
A lot of people are like that, but when I sense that, even with Democrats, I see the
Brian,
phoniness.
I'll go on a limb and say every single politician is like that to a degree. Now, I'm not defending Madonna.
Right. Well, I'm saying it
But
is.
what I think Trump did with Madami, is there is one thing he respects, and here's an interesting theory. He's attacked Stephen Colbert, right? He's attacked Jimmy Fallon, right? Kimmel, Seth Meyers, and the list grows. You know who he hasn't attacked? The creators of South Park. And they had him fucking Satan and Satan fucking him with a little small tiny dick.
Right.
And the reason they say they do that is he actually admires them because they got a $31 billion deal. So maybe it's the same thing with the mayor of New York.
Well, I think he's just shutting up. I think he's more upset with that, but he can't do it because if he does show that he's angry with it, then they know that it's really getting to him, and he doesn't want to admit that. I think that has to do with that. I think it's utilitarian. I think he's kind of like. I mean, we're getting into psychology here, obviously. It's and I'm overstepping my boundary. But again, we can speculate all we want. This is just a show, for a small group of people. But I think that has something to do with that, and I don't know. I mean, ever since Kyrsten Sinema, I am so worried about some Democrats. I'm not saying Mamdani would do that. I don't know yet, but I don't want to see any more Kyrsten Sinemas and Jeff Van Drews because money does strange things to some people, and
that is correct.
And I don't know what's going to happen.
People are saying that with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She came in with, I'm making these numbers up, but she came in like worth $170,000 or something like that, and she's leaving worth $25 million. How the hell does that happen? Well, that's part of the way it is in Congress. And unfortunately, money, and there's no way that we'll ever be able to reduce money. We can make it harder, right? Mm-hmm. But money will find its way to influence, and unfortunately now it has a tremendous influence.
Well, there are other things too. Remember, the Russians are fantastic with compromise because you have the two big ones. Well, three big ones. There's power, there's money, and there's sex, and they are all interrelated.
You know what's interesting? I think with MAGA, they might be the first group of people that really it didn't bother them until it did. I don't think sex bothers them. The MAGA. I really don't think so. I mean,
no, the only time they don't like sex is if for example, they see Obama. I think it's almost like a sexual thing. They don't like to see a black man being liked or appreciated by white women.
Sex on other. Lauren Boebert gave her date a hand job in a public venue. Now, is that something that you would think, and that didn't move the needle at all?
No, it's like look at we were talking about teachers and what we know what happened to Mary Kay Letourneau, right. But it's like she didn't get the and she shouldn't get the pass, and she's dead now, I believe. So anyway, but
I'm not sure.
With Trump, no, I think she's dead, but that doesn't matter. But the point is how we relate to things right now. It's you give a pass for this and not a pass for that. But see,
MAGA is great at doing that because our people cannot sin, and your people cannot not sin. That's basically their belief.
Right.
Now, you talk about different things. I mean, basically, a lot of Trump does this. What he says others are doing is what he does. I think in his mind, he really does think that what he does is normal, and so therefore, if I do it, everybody must be doing it. That kind of thing. Whether it's, and now you've got the Historical Society has come out and trying to halt the building of the, big, beautiful ballroom. And I think that, that again, if you're a former factory worker in Georgia, that doesn't smack real well. I mean, you got to really say, I want my king to have this place, right? Because You're not going to get in a big fancy ballroom. You can't even afford to go down to the bar dive, put money in the jukebox and dance. I think there's a lot of that going on. Anyway, clock continues to tick. So what was the last one we're going to do?
The alienation.
Which we've kind of touched on of all
Right,
of
with this,
But I think this week, it's hard because Trump is done. But I think this week, the week that just passed, and a little bit before, maybe the past 10 days, I think we may look on that as a very significant time period.
Yeah, he had a really rough week.
I mean, and
he was nasty with the piggy comment. He meets with MBS, and then a reporter asked a legitimate question to MBS, and he just came right in to save the day like he would for Putin.
Well,
and we have Ukraine.
I mean, so this was not, and you have catering. No, he doesn't cater. I'd be interested, and I didn't see. I know he had the banquet for, the Saudis, but I wonder what was served. Because I don't think he would serve the McDonald's, but I don't know. So his food thing.
No, he certainly would never do that. No.
But
don't forget that the Saudis are bankrolling him and the Kushners. So
well, that's the idea. I mean, they're not only bankrupt; they're banking.
And we can't trust the Saudis at all. I mean, we cannot.
Why? I mean, just because they financed 9/11, you don't trust them?
Right.
Come on, Brian.
Hey, interrogation by chainsaw. I mean, that's how they do things. That's how they treat women.
Did you hear what his response was? Well, sometimes things happen.
Oh, not only that, but he said he's done great things, and just.
Well, I mean, when he said about.
No, I understand that. No, you're absolutely right.
Well, the thing is, tomorrow though, if they, if Qatar were to take away his plane, or the Saudis were to renege on that, I have to go with Dunce Cap 47. That's something we always have to think about. Is Joe Hillbilly, who is kind of the poster child for much of MAGA, they don't care as long as a black person. Any person of color or gay person is now. Again, it's sort of like saying all Catholic priests are pedophiles. That's not what I'm saying. But have you been following recently? And I haven't been. It's in your face. You know what I'm saying? They're up over. I think they're over 40 now. Republicans now from city level on up who've been charged with some kind of basically mostly gay, trying to. Again, so my theory about Catholic priests is this: if you deny sexuality, that's a problem. Okay, it's human need. I think it's the same thing on the other side. If you can't acknowledge that you're gay, that causes problems.
Well, again, it's suppressing.
Exactly.
The subconscious is not going to let you go. If you think you can avoid, I don't care who you are, that mechanism is there, and it's going to haunt you until eventually something happens, and it's usually not good.
Now, the one thing that I just talk a little bit about, I'm putting together a story for tomorrow, but just kind of bring it up. I did spend, I spent 2 days and part of the third. There was a 3-day protest here led by 2 groups for 2 days and nationally by the third. So I don't know if you saw any of the pictures. It was a large crowd. It wasn't huge, I mean, by any stretch of the imagination, compared to Martin Luther King's crowd or whatever, but it was still significant enough. And what I was beginning to see at Union Station, which is the group is called FLAIR, it's an acronym, but basically it's citizens like you and me are spending 24 hours a day there working to defeat the regime. Then attached to that are the military, and the first 2 days were the military speaking, and they were so eloquent. And I make a joke about it, but honestly, Brian, except for the numbers, I would take those guys over anybody that the military has. Right? There's some tough sons of bitches, but again, not the number. But what they are doing, which I think is very effective, and Trump has heard this, they're going out and they're talking to the National Guard, and they're talking to fellow veterans, saying, "Look, whatever you do, don't fuck yourself up by doing something that's unconstitutional. Come back to haunt you." Now, did you see this week something else? Again, we have to be very careful because, there's a lot of misinformation out there, but this sounds somewhat reliable, that a number of military people who have been involved in some way of the deadly bombings of the fishing boats are retaining lawyers because they know that what they did is, illegal. I spent a lot of time here talking.
And so
to
would
national-
Hegseth be, you know,
well,
or would Trump?
unfortunately, with the Nuremberg trials, following orders is not a defense. Now, I don't know how that applies to, American jurisprudence in the judicial system. I would think. I mean, I don't know, but it's very clear. It's very clear that anybody who has been in the military or knows anything about them, it is very clear. They pledge to defend the country and the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. Now, yes, the president is the commander in chief, but the Constitution is the ruler. So what these veterans are trying to do is say, make sure you have.
Unfortunately, the Supreme Court doesn't seem to understand that.
I think when it gets there, I don't think they have anything else. I don't think they can rule against that. I mean, I really don't. They might want to.
I don't think they will.
No.
Then all bets are off, right? Well, let's just put it. If they do that, then all bets are off.
All bets are off. I would agree. But that would be, once you do that, we may have already lost the court, so I may be talking. But once you do that, there's like no reason for them to live. If they're the stuff they've done is not good. I think they're regretting presidential immunity. Somebody had a great question. I'm going to try to get to. I know he won't answer it. He wouldn't even know who I am or want to answer it. But somebody said, "Why don't I'd really like to ask Mitch McConnell? Is he sorry now that
him?
Him now? Look, he's going to die. Okay, he's fallen 3 times in the past 4 weeks or 4 months. So he's got to be thinking about." Not the legacy of being the great, which he has. He will be one of the most formidable.
He's forgiven, right? That's how it works. There's
not
nothing
really.
You can do if you give yourself
really,
to
Brian,
the Lord.
Not really. When you start getting, you've said it before too. If that were the case, they would never go to the doctor or the hospital. When
Right.
you get near death.
Oh, you and I know that. That again gets back
but
into
so do they.
psychology.
I'm saying, even Donald Trump.
They
That's
know the reality.
Yeah.
They just
so I'm just saying, and what McConnell, Trump just ran roughshod over him, after. Now McConnell helps set it up. See, the way I look at this story is it was played out a long time ago. Of course.
at least 6 of them, right?
The problem, Judy, which the problem is getting enough votes. And that's a problem with everything. And it's not just getting enough votes. It's getting enough votes from the other side, and we won't see that too much. But that would be, I think that's, and I'm with Jeff on that, and Judy, I know that you're a very good Christian, and I think that doesn't bother me. People can be good Christians and bad Christians. That's just the way it is. But I think, back with McConnell, again, not making a hero, it would just be interesting. Mitch, what the hell are you thinking? Do you regret doing it? And maybe he would just say, no, fuck, I did what I wanted. I got to, I'll be in the history books.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, I don't think
Or he
anybody's
won't
going to
say
answer.
anything.
Yeah, well, but he is not well. The one thing that is a little worrisome,
I don't pity him.
guess, I was talking to the head, we became friends in a strange sort of way. But he's the head legislative aide for Congressman Dan Brown, who is from Nebraska. And he's a Republican, but he's an old school Republican. You know what I mean? He's voted against Trump from time, not enough. And he's he's pro-abortion and all those things. But he and most of the people who are decent in small D's, they're not going to run for re-election. So we have to. It's not just a question of we need for that. We need to, or we're going to have more Jim Jordans. We're going to have more Jeff Andrews. Last thing. Have you been following? If not, do follow. Have you been following the story about the Jeff Andrew aide?
Yeah, I heard something about that. Yeah.
Here's what happened, basically. Now, you talk about fucked up. She actually went in the woods with a friend, had I don't know if it was a male or female, had him tied, actually had things carved on her that she said she was raped and attacked by people for being MAGA. And I mean, she actually had it done to her. That, wow. Now, that does not mean that Jeff Van Drew is responsible for that. What it does mean, though, is she had to have mental problems before that, okay? And either he didn't care about it or wasn't aware enough to see it. And, it won't touch him. It's not like, if Donald Trump had, with pedophilia, I think if Donald Trump, if it could be proven he watched people have it, he would be in some trouble. If he did it, he'd be in more trouble. With Van Drew, people might say, why, he didn't oversee it. But again, my closing line for tonight is this. It's very simple. It's very simple. MAGA, Trump, the MAGA GOP are evil. End of story. Not politics, not political, has nothing to do with that. So, if you are opposing them, you are on the side of good. Now, that doesn't exonerate you and send you to heaven if you believe in heaven and hell, which I do not. But what it does say is it's easy to pick your side. The second thing I would say tonight, based on some conversations I've had here, is don't worry about going low. Really don't. Just make sure you don't go under any lines that you have. One of my lines is I would not take a life. I would not take a life. I would take it if it was threatening me.
Right.
Now you get into the great debate, is Donald Trump threatening you? I mean, I can understand that, but at this point, don't worry about it. Whatever you can do it. If you can't protest, send money. If you can run for an office, run for an office. Did you see, again, in that past election, not one candidate endorsed by Moms for Liberty, which is, a right-wing fascist organization, won at school boards anywhere. So whatever's happening, we just have to continue it. They're not going to get any better. Okay. Trump's numbers are in free fall. They're down to where they should be, in the 30s, and that's his base. But you can't win with 30.
Right.
And I do think the other thing that I'm going to say, and then let you go, whether you feel better or worse, I really do think before I was very concerned about a third term. I don't see that happening now.
All right. Well, I will say this again, as I said last week, I am more confident, but there is this foreboding that the damage has already been done. The country's still divided. So we have a long way to go. I'll say this much. I'm more confident that we will be able to deal with Trump, but from a personal, individual level, I don't feel that I am ever going to see this country have any semblance of which was not great, but I'm saying I don't see we're going to have a democracy like we used to have it. I think it's going to be like the Eagles game today. You just felt it slipping and sliding.
But here's the thing, Brian. Maybe this is me donning rose-colored glasses. I don't really want to unite with MAGA. I don't. I don't want them around me. I don't want them to die tonight. But if it happened, no tears are going to be shed. Secondly, so what we have to do is just make sure, if we can, that they never, ever, ever are able to elect a giant fucking orange asshole. And if we can do that, we'll be okay.
I mentioned this. It was just a play on words on my personal page. I just mentioned Clockwork Orange. A few people caught it because that's the sense of this man. He's it's perfect for that movie. He is Clockwork Orange. Just so is I.
Well, if anybody out there, I said it last. I will do this. I just put together a list of 52 novels that warned us of Donald Trump. So if anybody needs anything to read, give me a shout out.
All right, Dave. You'll maybe send me a link to whatever that document is with the AI.
I will. I'll try to find it. And the other thing, Brian, just to let you know, because we don't always get a chance to talk, I'm good this year. The holidays, Thanksgiving coming up, we're not going anywhere. So
all right, good. Then we're good then. Me. Okay.
Yeah, because we're not going down.
All right. We'll see you. Take care of yourselves, folks, because it's been a rough ride, and it will continue a collective. To get rougher, right? I don't know what to call it, but It's not good. All right. But
And be a better fan so the Eagles win next week. It's your fault they lost.
I don't even know they're going to beat Chicago. I think this is where they slide, but we'll see what happens. But like Veg says, it just sports in the end really don't matter. And I try to tell myself that. I think it's again this unconscious thing I've had.
I mean, I once was like you. Not that it's better not to be. And so, I mean, if you're still there in the area, you know what I mean, in terms of the Philadelphia and yeah. Where
Well, look,
I like.
look, I mean, Veg will get this. Any Canadian will get this. If you understand losing and the frustration if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, because they just never. It's the hockey capital of the world, Toronto,
Right.
And no team has just been shut out from the Stanley Cup.
Wait a minute, Brian. Sorry.
67.
I just got a message from the heavens. I believe it might be from God. I'm not sure. And what it said is, if you will abstain from all sexual activity between now and the Super Bowl, the powers that be will assure that the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So can you do that?
No.
Okay, then you're done. You're not even a fan. I'm getting out of here. That's terrible. Bye.
Sorry, it's the truth. Can't. See you. Adios, folks. If I can turn this off.